Have you ever wondered why a toddler can fall asleep mid-sentence while many adults lie awake rehearsing tomorrow's to-do list? One striking statistic points to a clue. After age 50, our brain's nightly output of melatonin, the hormone that cues time to sleep, drops by as much as 50%. Here's what the research shows. Lower melatonin doesn't just delay bedtime, it shortens deep sleep windows, the very stages when your brain detoxifies and your muscles repair. That means less memory consolidation, slower tissue recovery, and yes, waking up feeling as if you pulled an all-nighter even when you didn't. Now, most conversations about sleep focus on pills or blue light rules, but neuroscience is quietly revealing another, often ignored lever. Specific foods whose natural compounds act like precision tools for your circadian hardware. Picture your sleep machinery as a symphony orchestra. Melatonin is the conductor, magnesium the metronome, serotonin the string section, and anti-inflammant antioxidants the acoustics of the hall. If any instrument is off key, the entire performance falters. The good news? 4 remarkably ordinary foods can tune that orchestra naturally within the next 24 hours. In the next few minutes, we'll explore how tart cherries, walnuts, almonds, and kiwi deliver molecular sheet music your brain and body can read instantly. You'll learn the optimal timing and serving sizes, the neural pathways they activate, and simple kitchen protocols. Think 60-second snack swaps that translate lab data into deeper, more restorative sleep tonight. Why does this matter? Because consistent, high-quality sleep is the master switch for cognitive sharpness, emotional regulation, metabolic health, and even relationship satisfaction. In other words, if you fix sleep, almost every other domain of life upgrades itself. So grab a notebook or simply commit to trying one of today's protocols, and let's dive into the science of how 4 common foods can help you sleep like never before. Stay to the end. The final tip often surprises even seasoned biohackers. Let's begin with one of the most fascinating examples of nature aligning perfectly with human physiology: tart cherries. Specifically, varieties like Montmorency tart cherries aren't just a healthy snack, they're among the richest natural sources of melatonin, the key hormone that signals your brain and body it's time to sleep. Here's what's happening in your brain. Melatonin is produced by the pineal gland in response to darkness. It binds to receptors in your brain that slow neural firing, drop your core body temperature, and prepare your internal systems for sleep. But as we age, melatonin production naturally declines, which is one reason many people over 50 find themselves wide awake at 3 a.m. What the research shows is remarkable. A randomized, double-blind study published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that drinking tart cherry juice twice daily for 2 weeks led to measurable increases in melatonin levels, increased total sleep time by over 80 minutes, and reduced nighttime awakenings. In other words, tart cherries didn't just help people fall asleep faster, they helped stay asleep, with more time spent in deep restorative stages of sleep. So, why tart cherries and not sweet ones? The answer lies in concentration. Tart cherries contain significantly more melatonin and also offer a synergistic mix of anthocyanins, potent antioxidants that reduce inflammation in neural tissues, supporting better sleep quality and brain recovery. Here's a simple protocol to apply. Timing: consume tart cherries or their juice about 1 hour before bedtime. This matches your body's natural dim light melatonin onset, DLMO. Dosage: eat 1 small handful, about 1/2 cup, of dried or fresh cherry juice, or drink 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice. Watch out for added sugars. Always choose unsweetened products, as sugar can spike cortisol and disrupt sleep latency. To create a simple evening ritual, you might pair tart cherry juice with a calming habit: reading, stretching, or low-light journaling. This combination reinforces your brain's pattern recognition system, helping to condition sleep onset more efficiently over time. Have you ever noticed how some nights you feel sleepy, and fall into bed easily, while others feel like a wrestling match with your thoughts. Often, the difference isn't just stress or screen time, it's the neurochemical readiness of your brain to transition from wake to rest. Tart cherries offer a natural, food-based lever to support that transition. And the best part? This tool is accessible, safe, and doesn't require any prescription. Just real food, timed correctly. Imagine if you could hand your brain a toolkit every evening, one filled with the exact molecules it needs to downshift, restore, and enter deep sleep. Walnuts come remarkably close to doing just that. Often thought of as just a healthy fat source, walnuts are in fact a neurosupportive sleep food, combining three powerful compounds: melatonin, magnesium, and omega-3 fatty acids. Let's break that down. First, melatonin. Like tart cherries, walnuts contain natural melatonin, which can directly support your circadian rhythm. Now, on average, a post-bath, but walnuts also offer something cherries don't: precursors for calming neurotransmitters, particularly through their omega-3 content, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, which the body converts into DHA. DHA plays a key role in modulating serotonin and GABA, two neurotransmitters essential for mood regulation and sleep initiation. Here's what's happening in your brain. As evening approaches and light levels drop, your brain begins preparing for sleep. And magnesium, also found in walnuts, binds to GABA receptors, calming overactive neurons and reducing stress responses. This magnesium-GABA interaction helps you stop overthinking and feel safe enough to enter rest. Meanwhile, omega-3s supports serotonin function, which contributes to feelings of well-being and stabilizes mood before sleep. A study published in Nutrients found that participants who consumed a diet rich in omega-3s, magnesium, and tryptophan-rich foods like walnuts reported significantly higher sleep efficiency and fewer nighttime awakenings. Other clinical findings show that a moderate intake of walnuts can boost melatonin blood levels within a few hours. Here's a simple protocol to apply. Timing. Eat a small handful of raw or lightly roasted walnuts about 1 hour before bed. Pairing tip: combine them with a tryptophan-consuming food like plain yogurt or a slice of whole grain toast for even greater neurotransmitter support. Quantity: roughly 1/4 cup is enough. More isn't better, especially close to bed. A word of caution: avoid heavily salted or sugar-coated walnuts, which can spike stress hormones or blood sugar. Want a sleep-friendly evening routine? Try this. While preparing for bed, dim your lights and prepare a calming snack. Something as simple as walnuts with herbal tea. This builds a feedback loop in your brain, associating this combo with relaxation and readiness for sleep. Over time, it becomes a behavioral cue your nervous system recognizes. Here's the big insight. If melatonin is the signal for sleep, magnesium and omega-3s are the stabilizers, ensuring that once you're asleep, your brain stays in restorative, slow-wave stages longer. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. This channel is all about translating cutting-edge neuroscience into real-life tools you can use daily to improve sleep, focus, and longevity. Now, get ready, because our next food works on an entirely different mechanism. It's not just about melatonin, it's about calming the entire body from the inside out. Let's explore almonds and how their magnesium density unlocks deeper sleep at the muscular and cellular level. If sleep is your body's reset button, then magnesium is the mineral that powers the entire reboot sequence. And almonds, ordinary as they may seem, are one of the most efficient and reliable ways to deliver that magnesium in a form your body can actually use. Let's look at the science. Magnesium is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, but one of its most crucial roles is in the nervous system. It acts as a natural calcium blocker at the synapse, which means it helps prevent excessive neuronal firing. In other words, it keeps your brain from running mental marathons at 11 p.m. when you're trying to wind down. Here's what happens in your brain when magnesium is sufficient. GABA receptors, the same ones that calming medications like benzodiazepines target, become more active. GABA is your brain's main inhibitory neurotransmitter. It signals to your entire nervous system, you're safe. You can rest now. Without enough magnesium, GABA can't do its job effectively, and your stress circuits stay lit up far longer than they should. This is why people with low magnesium levels often describe tired but wired syndrome. You're physically exhausted but mentally unable to disengage. Now, here's where almonds come in. Just 1 ounce of almonds contains about 76 milligrams of magnesium, roughly 20% of the daily recommended intake. More importantly, the magnesium in almonds is paired with healthy fats, fiber, and tryptophan, an amino acid that your brain uses to produce serotonin, which is eventually converted into melatonin. This makes almonds a uniquely synergistic food for supporting both the physical and chemical components of sleep. A clinical trial published in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that older adults who supplemented with magnesium had significantly improved sleep quality, longer sleep time, and reduced early morning awakenings. And unlike melatonin supplements, magnesium doesn't override your natural rhythms, it supports them. Here's a protocol you can try tonight. Timing: eat a small handful of raw or dry roasted almonds about 60 to 90 minutes before bedtime. Portion: around 10 to 12 almonds or 1 ounce. Optional pairings: mix with a few pieces of banana, a good potassium source, or a teaspoon of almond butter on a slice of whole grain toast. Avoid almonds coated in sugar, chocolate, or salt. These additives can interfere with magnesium absorption or increase cortisol. Practical tip: if you already track sleep with a wearable like an Oura Ring or Whoop, try consuming almonds nightly for a week and note any changes in sleep onset latency or deep sleep duration. You might be surprised at the data. Have you ever noticed that muscle tension, especially in the shoulders or jaw, makes it harder to fall asleep? That's not random. Magnesium doesn't just calm the brain, it also relaxes smooth muscle tissue throughout the body. This is why it's used clinically in emergency rooms to stop seizures or relax blood vessels. And it's also why magnesium-rich foods like almonds can help your entire body shift into parasympathetic mode, the rest and digest state. So if you're someone who's constantly wired at night, waking up tense or grinding your teeth, almonds might be your simplest, most natural intervention. And stay with me, because our next food works even deeper. It targets your mood neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, helping your brain build its own melatonin supply from the inside out. Of all the foods on this list, kiwi is perhaps the most underestimated, and yet it may offer one of the most direct ways to upgrade your sleep architecture from the inside out. What makes kiwi so special isn't just its vitamin C content or its antioxidant profile, although both are impressive. Then it's the unique relationship between serotonin and melatonin that makes this small green fruit a giant in the world of sleep science. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Serotonin, often called the feel-good neurotransmitter, is a precursor to melatonin. That means your brain takes serotonin and through a series of enzymatic steps regulated by light exposure and circadian timing, converts it into melatonin each evening. The smoother this conversion, the better your ability to fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake feeling genuinely restored. Kiwi is one of the few foods shown to significantly increase endogenous serotonin levels. According to a study published in the journal Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition, participants who ate 2 kiwis 1 hour before bedtime for 4 weeks experienced a 35% reduction in time to fall asleep, a 28% improvement in sleep duration, and a 42% improvement in sleep quality. That's not a mild effect. It's comparable to what you might expect from low-dose sleep aids, but without the dependency or side effects. Why does it work so well? In addition to its serotonin-enhancing properties, kiwi is also rich in antioxidants like vitamin C and E, which help reduce inflammation in the brain, particularly in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, your brain's master clock. When inflammation in this region is high, due to stress, aging, or poor diet, your sleep-wake timing becomes erratic. Kiwi helps restore that rhythm. Here's a protocol to try. Timing. Eat 1 to 2 ripe kiwis about 1 hour before bed. Format. Fresh is best. Peel and slice or scoop with a spoon. Avoid juice or dried versions, which often have added sugars. Pairing idea. Combine kiwi with a handful of almonds for a dual magnesium to serotonin effect. A useful behavior tip. Consider integrating kiwi into a wind-down ritual, not just as a food, but as a signal to your body and brain that it's time to shift from activity to recovery. For example, keep your home lighting dim after eating kiwi to allow natural melatonin conversion and avoid screens during that window. Now, you might be wondering, if kiwi is boosting serotonin, could it also improve mood during the day? The answer appears to be yes. Multiple studies show that dietary serotonin precursors can enhance emotional regulation, reduce anxiety, and even improve morning energy. That means kiwi doesn't just help you sleep, it may also help you wake up in a more emotionally regulated and resilient state. If this science-backed approach to food and sleep resonates with you, subscribe to the channel. We're building a community focused on practical tools backed by neuroscience, not hype. And stay with me. Because while these foods are powerful on their own, when you eat them matters just as much as what you eat. That's what we'll explore next. How your internal body clock responds to meal timing and how you can use that clock to your advantage. Let's shift our attention from what you eat to when you eat it. Because when it comes to sleep, timing is everything. You've likely heard about the circadian rhythm, a 24-hour internal clock that governs sleep-wake cycles, hormone release, digestion, and even cellular repair. But what's often overlooked is how food intake itself acts as a circadian cue, particularly in the evening hours. In fact, your metabolic clock and your brain's master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, are constantly exchanging signals. When you eat plays a major role in telling your body whether it's time to be alert or time to rest. And here's what the research shows. Eating too close to bedtime, especially large meals or those high in sugar, can delay melatonin release by up to 90 minutes. That means even if you go to bed at the right time, your body might still be metabolically awake. This is why the same exact food, say almonds or kiwi, can have vastly different effects depending on when you eat it. Let's break it down with a real-world analogy. Think of your circadian rhythm like an airline flight schedule. Melatonin is the plane, your sleep foods are the passengers. If everyone boards early, the plane departs smoothly. But if passengers are late, for example, you eat too close to bedtime or with poor food combinations, the flight is delayed and your sleep disrupted. So how do you optimize food timing for better sleep? Here's a practical framework. Create a 2-hour window before bedtime with no heavy meals, allowing at least 2 hours between your last full meal and bedtime. Helps your body transition from active digestion to hormonal wind down. This drop in insulin supports natural melatonin production. Light snacks like tart cherries or a few almonds are okay within this window, but avoid meals that are high in protein or fat, which take longer to digest. Introduce sleep-promoting foods 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Why that timing? It matches your body's natural dim light melatonin onset, DLMO, when melatonin levels begin to rise naturally in response to darkness. Foods like tart cherries, kiwi, and almonds are most effective during this phase because they amplify an existing biological signal rather than trying to override it. Dim lights and limit screens, while eating sleep foods light suppresses melatonin. If you eat a serotonin-rich food like kiwi while staring at a bright screen, your brain gets mixed signals. Biochemically, it's preparing for sleep, but visually, it's still in daytime mode. So treat your evening snack as a ritual. Keep lights low, screens off, and presence high. Be consistent. Your circadian rhythm thrives on routine. When you eat the same types of sleep-friendly foods around the same time each night, your brain begins to associate those actions with sleep. Over time, this becomes a powerful form of behavioral conditioning, not unlike how a bedtime story cues a child that sleep is nearer. Have you ever noticed that when you eat late, you not only sleep worse, but wake up feeling more groggy, even after enough hours in bed? That's not just digestion, it's circadian misalignment. Your body was still processing food when it should have been focused on brain detoxification and cellular repair. So the key isn't just what nutrients you provide, but when you deliver them. Like any great performance, sleep requires both the right script and the right timing. Now, we'll complete this science-backed sleep system